In this video, we will be introducing the crown jewel of the Michael-Chekhov technique, psychological gesture, right after this. Hi, the Inspired Actor here. If you're new to this channel, we are dedicated to helping actors become better artists by offering these quick, roughly 10-minute acting lessons. Also, we have made about 100 of these videos on acting, so feel free to check them out on our channel. And if you want to see more videos like these in the future, go ahead and subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as they come out. And hey, take a moment before you forget and hit that like button, as it really helps me out. And if you know people who might like these videos, please don't hesitate to share them on your social media outlet of choice.
While my mother and sister were hiding in the dark and kind of watching me, hoping I was going to be in the movie business, I turned around and imagined I saw my director making fun of my newly acquired psychological gesture from MichaelChekhov.
So first things first, what the heck is a psychological gesture and why use it at all? Imagine that there's a way to access a character, scene, or event in less than the time it takes to check your props. Not only access it, but find its unchangeable core, the very essence of what you're trying to find. That's the beauty of using PG, and it's an incredibly effective way of working. Before finding psychological gesture, I was one of those actors who spent hours upon hours imagining the complete past life of my character. Where was he born? What was his childhood like? What was the series of events that led to his first entrance on stage? That kind of thing. It was fun, I have to admit. I'm a nerd, and I love doing that kind of thing. But eventually I realized that you can't really act that your character was born in a log cabin, had 5 siblings, and has a deathly fear of spiders. Especially if that's not really mentioned in the script. In fact, the only thing you can act is the moment-to-moment internal and external actions that your character performs throughout the story. While all those superfluous details might help inform your interpretation of the character, it's ultimately not very helpful in finding the spine of the moment, scene, or character you are trying to portray. Once I discovered psychological gesture for myself, I found that it was an incredibly simple and fast way to find actable moments and characterizations. I then found myself spending more time on the moment-to-moment truth of my work and less on things that didn't really help as much. Look, your rehearsal time is extremely precious. Most actors get 3 to 6 weeks to work out their parts. Film actors often get less or none at all. The actor must aspire to be as efficient as possible so that they can bring out each moment they have on stage or in front of the camera as truthfully and vividly as possible. So now that that's settled, let's talk about where to begin. If you've watched my previous videos, then you might have seen me talk about archetypal gestures. If you haven't and need a place to start, I'll put a link for you in the notes. But briefly, an archetypal gesture is a basic physical template for all similar gestures of the same kind. We use archetypal gestures as a means to incorporate our objectives or characterization firmly into our whole body. This merges the psychology of our characters into their physical self, creating a unified psychophysical presence, which in turn makes our acting more dynamic, physical, and alive. But understand that when we are talking about archetypal gesture, we are only talking about the physical action of the gesture. Once we consciously incorporate any quality or emotion into the gesture, then it ceases to be solely archetypal and transforms into a psychological gesture. An easy way to think of it is this: archetypal gesture plus quality equals psychological gesture. This is not to say that psychological gestures have to be composed of archetypal gestures. Any physical action that meets certain criteria can compose a psychological gesture. An archetypal gesture is just a template to draw from. We use templates generally to make our lives easier, so we don't have to start from scratch every time we want to make something new. Again, we are striving for efficiency and speed. So templates are a great place to begin if you're looking to save a few steps. So to begin, let's say that you've read the script thoroughly and you are starting to get a rough idea of who your character is and what they want. Again, we are not consciously making up any new details. We are simply using the information we have received from the script we have in front of us. Now, In my previous videos on archetypal gestures, I narrowed them down to 6 basic directions that live on 3 separate planes: the up and down plane, the back and forth plane, and the in and out plane. On the up-down plane resides the archetypal gesture of lift, uplift, raise, and so on, and dominate, smash, crush, and so on. On the back and forth plane might be push, probe, or punch, and pull, drag, or seduce. And on the out and in plane exists gather, embrace, or close, and rip, tear, or open, among others. Of course, there is room for an infinite amount of nuance in both your physicalizations and your verbiage, but essentially that's the core, in my view. So now I invite you to reflect on your character and play around with finding the overall direction your character exhibits throughout the story. For example, your Hamlet might really want to probe the air in front of them, or move forward towards uncertainty. Another Hamlet might need to gather clues or reveal the truth. Perhaps you are playing a femme fatale or a young lover and you discover that your character really wants to pull or seduce the object of their affections into falling in love with them. Maybe you are playing a particularly greedy character, so the gather AG works best for you. Or you're playing an inspirational character, so the lift gesture seems to work best. Remember, there is no right answer here. You are simply exploring and investigating physically what choice feels the most true for you right now. Don't get too hooked on finding the right answer at this point. Through further exploration and rehearsals, you will eventually hone a complete psychological gesture that absolutely inspires your performance. But it's still very early yet, so don't sweat it. Michael Chekhov invites us to start small with maybe just your hand or even a finger, starting with very tiny movements, gradually and deliberately, letting those movements build and expand into the rest of your body until you discover the movement and direction naturally without thinking about it or overanalyzing it. I think that's the way to go. Stay away from your little intellect as much as possible. Learning to follow your natural instincts is an essential skill for all actors, so practicing in this way can be extremely helpful. In acting, you don't have to know the answer to know the answer. Again, by thinking of directionality as a force that we can access to inspire our imagination, we open up a world of psychological possibility for our characters and scenes. And in employing archetypal gesture as a blueprint, we can hasten our discovery of powerful and actable psychological gestures. Next time, we'll cover the next step in the process by consciously adding qualities to our gestures. So, if you want to be the first to be notified when that video comes out, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. See you later, colleagues.